So before we get too far into this video, first of all, I want to say I hope everyone enjoyed the episode of Intervisions. It was a lot of fun to film with the guys, and we're hoping to continue it into the future on a little bit more of a regular basis with less of just every Intervisions just disappearing for a while. That was just because of computer issues and life issues and everything like that. But I hope you enjoyed Intervisions. Second of all, I really hate my chair. I just want to get this out of the way because I do a lot of recording, and this chair cannot, like, I elevate it a bit, and then it just kind of slowly sinks back down because it's broken, and I hate it, and I just hate these gaming chairs. This isn't important to the video or anything. I'm spending a minute on this. I hate these chairs. I really want to get a new. All right, out of the way. Let's talk about Wotv stuff. So here we go. Wotv for JP is the thing I want to kind of talk about first. Just very quickly, I want to say that first of all, we if there is a collaboration coming, if there is a live stream coming pretty quick here, it's going to have to be very quick because right now we are almost at the end of the month. It's only 5 days away. Very much looking like we're not going to get a live stream for the end of the month, which means that I very much think that we're not getting a collaboration, at least at the beginning of the month of May. That has kind of revised my forecast. I think we're probably going to get a high-profile Wotv character that people want. I don't know, maybe Oberyn's sister. I'm not 100% certain, and it's theoretical at this point, but I'm definitely getting less and less confident about the fact that we're probably going to see a collaboration at the beginning of the month. So there it is. All right, next up, we're going to talk about persona units. All right, so Global this week has announced that you guys are getting all of the persona units. I assume that the second week in the collaboration, you'll be getting all of the vision cards, and I assume that probably all three of these characters won't see much in the way of upgrades. And I do want to talk about these units a little bit, so bear with me. And I'm going to start off by saying that I think if I was a account, these are just my general recommendations for accounts who want a persona unit but don't necessarily know which persona unit you want. My highest recommendation is, and this is also assuming that you don't have a favorite character that you want. My highest recommendation is Joker. Joker at the top. I would recommend probably Queen second and Violet third. Now, of course, if your account is heavily skewed toward an element, or you're looking to build towards a certain element, disregard that. Listen to what is about to come, and I'm going to talk about it. But Joker, out of all of the units, and I found one earlier. There's the one. Jokers are really, really just good, strong units. I'm going to try and give the Cliff Note versions. If you'd like a more in-depth version of this, the review of these units, you can go check it out. You can just search on my channel. There is a Joker review, a Violet review, and a Queen review. Although it might be under Makoto, it might be under Kasumi, and it might be under Ren for alternate names because of the characters. But anyway, Joker is a great character. I mean, with Nightblade, he has some nice abilities. With Gunner, he has some good range. And with his main job, he has some powerful offense. Good movement, good jump. Overall, I think his TMR is pretty just okay. I mean, a slash attack and missile attack is a great increase with some AoE resistance, but I don't think it really is worth too much a worry. I think really what you're trying to get here is a unit. He has some good supports, he has some good counters, and a lot of his main part of his kit is, reducing damage to himself. He has a way of giving himself a barrier for multiple times, as well as protect for allies. He has counter ability that reduces damage. He's also good at getting around his opponent's attack or defenses as well. Lots of defense penetration and hit from that weapon. He can block counter chances with both his own abilities, as well as potentially the dagger that's coming up with the new version of Leela, who is, by the way, a great partner for him. So if you are looking to get Joker, you might want to save some resources for the new version of Leela as well, because they are a pretty dang good combination for those who have that kind of luxury to get it. Joker's also capable of breaking barriers, and his limit burst is 100% hit chance. All of that is really good, essentially against light evasion. He's good against lock. He's good against just all the evade characters that might want to throw. He's a really strong damage dealer, and I recommend him for those, especially if you're just tired of the light thing. I mean, you are going to be looking at, you know, a pretty heavy future for Dark as an element, because there's Anima, there's Joker, there's Joker's Vision card, and there is potentially, you know, the Leela as well, and that's a lot of resources to potentially get, especially if you're unlucky. So you might, if you're committing to Dark, I think you're probably wanting most of the new Dark stuff. Oh, and of course Majin Vina too, who's also on the screen. But yeah, you're really Dark gets a really big boost over the next little while, and it is a process to potentially get all of that together, but if you do, I think it's really good. And yeah, Joker I think is just really strong. I've gone up against him multiple times and even lost sometimes, so that's me a really strong recommendation. Quite strong. All right, so going down the list, next up is Queen, and there she is. And as you can see here, we're running a bit more of a magic build, but you can get an idea for what her stats essentially look like. Lowest movement of the characters here, and honestly has definitely dropped off in terms of arena. I just don't see her that much anymore. There was a period where there was a lot of thunder units because of all the water units, and then all of a sudden a lot of earth units came along and killed off all of the lightning units, and then all of the earth units were killed off by wind units, and now light and dark are everywhere again. So, you know, it's nice to have made that that revolution. But in all honesty, Queen does drop off in terms of a lot of the lightning options that are available out there. Cloud is almost always going to be in that party, as well as Charlotte. And really quickly, Resnick, the healer for the lightning element, the UR healer for the lightning element, which in the near future is just really good, and potentially the character that you want. It's hard to say if that's the only thing you want, because it is really good. I mean, Queen is still good. Queen is still really strong, and Queen is actually capable of maybe more than you actually think of her, just initially looking at her. But she is primarily a physical / magical unit, and she is split right down the middle. Even her weapon screams that. Her weapon is a great kit just for all future fist users, regardless of what they are. That's really nice. But, you know, the one of the things that I think I really like about Queen is, you know, her limit burst into a lightning team is support towards removing lightning resistance. She can remove barriers and everything like that. She has some really good stuff. She can remove healing power off of enemies. She can lower the chance that they get a counter off. She can decrease defenses or magic on enemies. It's kind of amazing. She can also dispel auto revive, which is potentially interesting too, depending on who's fighting. Queen, for me, has been more impactful, I think, in PvE, where she's tanky enough that she can put up a pretty good fight against a lot of enemies sometimes, and especially recently in Tower, where I just threw her against Omega and a lot of units were doing middling damage, and she was dealing a lot of damage because she has barrier breakers. She is capable of either doing physical or magical attacks, you know, to kind of counteract whatever barrier that someone might be using. So yeah, I really like Queen. I think that she is a really fun kind of unit. You know, a little bit different in the sense that she is, you know, half magic, half physical, which is pretty different from a lot of units that we see nowadays. I really like Queen. And of course, one of the big recommendations is she's free. So it's a free Thunder unit. If you don't have a lot of Thunder units, definitely think about giving her a build, because she is pretty good. And that brings me to my last unit to talk about, which is Violet. And let me get it straight. Whenever you're rating a unit for how good you really want them to be, yeah, I always consider a lot of different things, and it's not that I think the unit is ever bad. Well, most of the time. It's really, really, really that I just think sometimes that the unit is not probably the one you should be focusing on. And Violet's kind of bad because light evasion, there's already enough light evasion. It's like 3 light evasion units is maybe a little bit too greedy, right? Like sometimes you need a tank or a healer or, you know, a bunch of different stuff, but not necessarily do you need so many light evasion characters. And that's the thing that I've kind of found here with Violet, probably as a global recommendation, because you have a Locke, you have Elena already, and Violet's a little bit much. Violet's still really good. She is still really good at being survivable. I mean, she has Guts in her primary kit at her job level 25. Very high chance of critical. Even her Limit Burst, which is a 3-hit, which is great for chaining, has a increased chance for criticals. And from there, you know, her kit really just accelerates because of criticals. She has the highest movement of all of the Persona units, and one of the highest movements in the game of just 4 move and 2 jump. But she's, you know, capable of restoring her own AP off of a critical hit, as well as reducing enemies' AP off of a critical hit. She can paralyze, which is great against certain bosses. She has a large diamond AoE, which is really good for farming, trust me, fun. And it's just good for clearing out enemies and everything like that. And you can build her pretty easily to be an evasion unit. So to show her stats real quick, she's fast. She's fast and she's evadey. Especially if you want to even go so far as potentially building a really nice evade TMR, then you can just get a pretty good build off of her. I mean, like, I don't think that my kit is especially good because I've kind of been focusing on other units lately, so I probably need to go back and look at this again and see where I can optimize things. But Violet is great. If not, I've said this a long time ago during her initial review. It's basically one of my favorite units in the entire game because of like her counter ability, which if she evades an attack, she just attacks that enemy, which is really cool. It's really fun against bosses because, like, you know, a raid boss will try and attack her, miss, he gets a hit off, and then you already are starting to work towards a chain, which is great for dealing damage, and makes her way more capable of soloing enemies too, which is great. It's great. Also, that counter gives like slash resistance penetration down for the cast of the ability, so it even gets around enemies' resistances a little bit. I do really like Violet, but I would say that out of the 3 units, you know, Joker, I would say, is like the highest real estate value, because just if you hate light evasion units, then he's got something really big to offer there. And, you know, Dark is on the rise just on the JB side right now, so it makes it much, much easier to recommend. But like Queen is a free unit, so that makes it a lot less of an investment, because even if you are needing shards and everything for her, you effectively just get the unit on lock. That's enough to just be a recommendation with how expensive this game is. Violet is just kind of she is another evade unit. She is a really cool unit, but out of the 3, probably I would say the lowest priority, unless you're interested in collecting evade units or you're just your favorite character or something like that, or you really like her kit. All of those reasons are totally valid, but You know, light is an abundance of riches with slashing and chaining. You know, Lucio is effectively free. Locke was first copy free unit. Elsie is a character that I think most long-term players have and probably built to some extent. Potentially Engelbert or Elena, who is the most common thing apparently on the global side. And last but not least, you know, then you just add Violet, and maybe it's just one unit too many. Maybe it's just not what you need at this point. You already have access to so much chaining it. Maybe it's just a luxury type unit. But I still love Violet. I still see her in Arena about 30% maybe. Light elemental teams that I have come up against in the last month-ish. And that still means that she is valuable, she's still being used, and she's still capable of getting wins, and that's all great. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say here. I mean, it depends a little bit on the vision cards and what kind of big increases that the characters might have gotten off those. Because there are kind of three vision cards. There's Joker card, there's the Makoto card, and there should be a light card of some variety coming in. Well, there's a lot to think about, and so I'll leave that with you as to which of the Persona units you probably want the most out of all of them. I do recommend Joker because if you're sick of that light and you want to go into the dark side, this is the start of the big dark wave that's coming up. And Joker, I do know people who are quite happy with him. That is a strong, worthy occasion. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And I really do hate this. Already feels like it's starting to sink on me. Ugh.